There comes a time in life when you have to stop playing small, stop living in excuses, and face the toughest battle you'll ever fight, the battle against the weakest version of yourself. That version of you is holding you back. It's whispering lies, saying you can't do it, or maybe tomorrow. Let me tell you something. Tomorrow doesn't belong to the weak. It belongs to the bold. The first step in defeating the weak version of yourself is admitting it exists. Too many people hide behind denial, convincing themselves that everything is fine while their lives remain stagnant. Ignoring your weaknesses won't make them disappear. It only allows them to grow stronger. Take a hard look in the mirror and call it out. Is it procrastination, self-doubt, or fear of failure? Name it. Excuses are the fuel that keeps weakness alive. You might tell yourself that life is hard, the odds are stacked against you, or that you need more time. Let me tell you something. Every champion has faced obstacles. What separates them is their refusal to let excuses define their reality. Excuses are nothing but lies that keep you comfortable in mediocrity. Stop blaming external factors for internal problems. Yes, life throws curveballs, but your reaction to them is what determines your future. Take accountability for your actions, choices, and mindset. When you do this, you take back the power you've been given away to your circumstances. Acknowledging your weakness isn't about beating yourself up, it's about taking responsibility. Weakness grows when you refuse to confront it. Strength begins when you decide to take ownership of your life and stop waiting for someone else to save you. When you acknowledge your flaws, you also open the door to solutions. You begin to see opportunities to grow, learn, and improve. Denial, on the other hand, keeps you blind and stagnant. Embrace the discomfort of facing your weaknesses is the first step to killing them. You can't heal what you refuse to admit is broken. Weakness loves secrecy, and it thrives in darkness. Shine a light on it by being honest with yourself. Honesty isn't a weakness, it's a strength in disguise. Once you've acknowledged your weakness, you create a starting point. From there, every step you take is a step toward becoming a stronger version of yourself. But remember, you can't win a fight if you refuse to admit you're in one. Change doesn't happen until you make a decision. Not a casual, half-hearted decision, but a firm, unwavering one. The weak version of yourself is comfortable because it knows you're not fully committed to change. You keep tiptoeing around the idea of growth instead of diving into it headfirst. Decide today that you've had enough of being less than your potential. There's a power in saying, I'm done. When you reach that point, you tap into a reservoir of strength you didn't even know you had. Think about it. Every major transformation in life starts with a decision. You don't stumble into success or accidentally become disciplined. It's a conscious, deliberate choice. The weak version of you will fight back. It'll whisper doubts in your ear, reminding you of past failures and telling you to wait for the right time. Let me tell you something, the right time doesn't exist. Waiting is a luxury that weakness can't afford. Decide now, not later. Deciding that enough is enough means drawing the line in the sand. It's about saying, I will no longer tolerate this version of myself. This isn't about anyone else, it's about you and the person you see in the mirror. That's the only competition that matters. When you decide to change, your actions follow. It's not just about saying it, it's about living it. Decisions backed by consistent action lead to transformation. The weak version of you relies on inconsistency, so kill it by staying committed every single day. The beauty of this decision is that it's a turning point. From this moment on, you're no longer the person who makes excuses or hides from challenges. You're the person who takes charge, who faces adversity head on, and who refuses to back down. Decide today to fight for your dreams, your goals, and your future. Weakness doesn't survive in the presence of conviction. Once you make the decision, you're unstoppable. That weak version of yourself, it doesn't stand a chance. Fear is the root of the weak version of yourself. It's the voice that tells you, what if it doesn't work out? Or what if they judge me? That voice is nothing, boys, and it feeds off your hesitation. Every time you hesitate, procrastinate, or overthink, you're giving fear more power. It grows stronger, and the weak version of you thrives in that environment. To stop feeding your fear, you have to take action even when it terrifies you. Fear hates movement because action exposes its lies. The moment you step forward, even if it's just a small step, fear begins to shrink. So wait for the fear to go away, move through it. Fear doesn't disappear. You just learn to overpower it by doing the very thing you're afraid of. Your comfort zone is fear's favorite hiding place. That's where the weak version of you feels safe. But let me tell you something, nothing grows in the comfort zone. If you want to kill that weak version of yourself, you have to step outside of what feels safe. Embrace discomfort. It's not your enemy, it's your teacher. Fear thrives on what-if scenarios. It convinces you to imagine the worst-case outcomes and keeps you frozen in indecision. But what if you flip the script? What if you focus on the best-case scenario instead? Start asking yourself, what if it works out? What if this decision changes my life? Shift your perspective, and you'll starve your fear of its control. Stop feeding fear by surrounding yourself with courage. Spend time with people who inspire you, challenge you, and push you to be brave. Courage is contagious, and the more you see others face their fears, the more you'll believe you can face yours too. Fear is not a wall. It's a door. You just have to push through it. The weak version of you will tell you to stop, to retreat, to play it safe. But remember, every time you push past fear, you're killing that weak version and stepping into the stronger, bolder version of yourself. If you keep feeding your fear, it'll eat you alive. Starve it with action, confidence, and persistence. The moment you stop giving it power, it loses its grip. That's how you kill fear and the weak version of you along with it. You are the company you keep. If you spend your time with people who complain, make excuses, and accept mediocrity, you'll start to reflect on their habits. The weak version of you thrives in that environment because it feels normal there. If you want to kill that version of yourself, you have to elevate your circle. Strong people don't just talk about what they're going to do, they do it. They challenge themselves daily and inspire others to do the same. When you surround yourself with these people, their energy becomes contagious. You start to see what's possible because you're witnessing it firsthand. Look around you. Are the people in your life lifting you or pulling you down? Are they encouraging you to grow, or are they keeping you stagnant? If the answer is the latter, it's time to make some changes. You don't owe anyone your future. Weakness loves loyalty to the wrong crowd, but strength demands you choose wisely. Being around stronger people doesn't mean you have to compete with them. It means you learn from them. Watch how they handle challenges, how they think, and how they act. Absorb their mindset and apply to your own life. Their strength can become the blueprint for your growth. Sometimes upgrading your circle means walking away from people who no longer align with your vision. That's not being selfish, that's being intentional. Weak people will call you out for changing, but strong people will applaud you for growing. Learn to let go without guilt. Seek out mentors, coaches, and role models who've been where you want to go. Their guidance will help you see beyond your limitations. The weak version of you can't survive in a room full of strong individuals because it's constantly being challenged to improve. When you surround yourself with stronger people, you're not just killing the weak version of yourself, you're replacing it with a version that believes in greatness. Your circle is your environment, and a strong environment breeds a strong individual. Discipline is the weapon that destroys the weak version of yourself. It's the consistent, unrelenting effort that says, I'm in control. Weakness thrives on inconsistency, skipping workouts, sleeping, or choosing comfort over progress. Discipline leaves no room for excuses because it replaces feelings with actions. The weak version of you relies on motivation, but motivation is fleeting. Discipline, however, is permanent. It's waking up early to chase your goals, even when you're tired. It's saying no to distractions and yes to your priorities. Every time you choose discipline, you weaken the hold of your lazy, unmotivated self. Building discipline isn't about big, dramatic changes. It's about small daily habits. Start by committing to one thing every day, something that aligns with your goals. Maybe it's reading for 10 minutes, working out for 30, or setting aside time for reflection. These habits compound over time and create unstoppable momentum. Weakness hates structure because structure demands accountability. Create a routine that supports your growth and stick to it. Whether it's a morning ritual, a daily workout, or dedicated focus time, structure keeps you on track and eliminates excuses. When you feel like quitting, remind yourself why you started. The weak version of you will beg you to stop, but discipline doesn't listen to feelings. It listens to results. Each disciplined action is a step toward your goals, and each step makes the weak version of you weaker. Discipline isn't just about what you do, it's about who you become. It's the foundation of confidence, self-respect, and success. When you consistently show up for yourself, you prove that you're capable of achieving anything you set your mind to. Discipline is the difference between dreaming about success and living it. The weak version of you lives in dreams, but the disciplined version makes those dreams a reality. Build your discipline and watch how quickly you leave that weak version behind. Time is the one thing you can never get back. The weak version of you wasted on distractions, procrastination, and meaningless activities. But the strong version of you values every second because it knows time is the currency of success. If you want to kill the weak version of yourself, you must take full control of your time. Start by eliminating the things that drain your time without adding value. Social media scrolling, binge watching TV shows, or engaging in unproductive conversations are all traps that the weak version of you thrives on. You have to make a conscious decision to cut those things out. Your time is too precious to waste on things that don't push you closer to your goals. Learn to say no. The weak version of you says yes to everything because it doesn't want to disappoint others. But every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve your purpose, you're saying no to your growth. Saying no isn't selfish, it's strategic. It's how you protect your time and energy for what truly matters. Plan your day with intention. The strong version of you operates on purpose, not by chance. Wake up with a plan. Set clear priorities and stick to them. If you don't control your day will control you. The weak version of you loves chaos because it gives you an excuse to do nothing. Structure kills that chaos. Focus on what's important, not what's urgent. The weak version of you gets caught up in putting out fires instead of building something meaningful. The strong version of you knows how to prioritize long-term goals over short-term distractions. You have to think bigger than today. Every minute you spend is an investment in your future. Ask yourself, is this worth my time? If the answer is no, let it go. The weak version of you will try to hold on to everything, but the strong version of you knows that success comes from focus and clarity. When you take control of your time, you take control of your life. The weak version of you loses its grip because it can't survive in an environment of purpose and discipline. Time is your most valuable asset. Use it wisely and leave no room for the weak version of you to linger. Consistency is what separates the dreamers from the doers. The weak version of you operates in bursts, starting strong but fading fast. The strong version of you understands that success isn't about occasional effort. It's about showing up every single day, no matter what. Consistency kills weakness because it builds habits that last. Start small, but stay consistent. You don't have to change everything overnight. Pick one area of your life where you want to improve and commit to it daily. Whether it's working out, reading, or improving, consistency consists of small efforts into big results over time. The weak version of you loves instant gratification. It wants results without putting in the work. But the strong version of you knows that real success takes time. Consistency is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It's not glamorous, but it's effective. Consistency is about discipline, not motivation. Motivation will come and go, but discipline keeps you moving forward. The weak version of you waits to feel inspired, but the strong version of you acts regardless of how it feels. Success isn't about how you feel, it's about what you do. When you're consistent, you build trust with yourself. You prove that you can stick to your commitments even when it's hard. That self-trust becomes the foundation of confidence. The weak version of you doubts itself because it knows it can't be relied on. Kill that doubt by being consistent. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. You'll have setbacks, mistakes, and challenges along the way. But the strong version of you knows how to get back up and keep going. The weak version of you gives up at the first sign of difficulty. Perseverance is what makes consistency powerful. Over time, consistency compounds. What starts as small daily actions grows into massive success. The weak version of you can't compete with that because it operates on short-term thinking. Kill the weak version by committing to the long game. Consistency always wins. The weak version of you waits for validation, approval, or the right time to take action. It's always looking for an external signal to move forward. But the strong version of you knows that permission isn't something you wait for, it's something you give yourself. If you want to kill the weak version of yourself, stop waiting for someone else to tell you it's your time. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is going to hand you the life you want. The weak version of you believes in fairy tales, but the strong version knows that success is self-made. You don't need anyone's approval to chase your dreams. You just need to start. Waiting for the perfect moment is a trap. The weak version of you convinces itself that tomorrow will be better, that the circumstances will align, or that you'll feel more ready later. But there's no such thing as the perfect time. The strong version of you acts now, even when conditions aren't ideal. Stop looking for permission from people who don't share your vision. The weak version of you seeks validation from others, but their opinions don't define your worth. The strong version of you stays focused on the goal, no matter what others think. You don't need their permission to pursue greatness. Take ownership of your life. The weak version of you blames circumstances, people, or luck for a situation. The strong version of you takes full responsibility and decides to create opportunities. Permission comes from within, not from external factors. The weak version of you loves to procrastinate by waiting for the green light. But the truth is, you're the one in control. The light has always been green. It's just waiting for you to press the pedal. Take the wheel and drive toward your goals without hesitation. When you stop waiting for permission, you free yourself from limitations. The weak version of you loses its grip because it can no longer use excuses to hold you back. Permission isn't granted, it's taken. Take yours and move forward without looking back. The weak version of you thrives on routine and predictability. It loves comfort because comfort means there's no pressure, no risk, and no failure. But comfort is the enemy of growth. The strong version of you understands that progress comes from stepping outside your comfort zone. To kill that weak version of yourself, you have to challenge yourself every single day. Start small if you need to, but start somewhere. Do one thing every day that makes you uncomfortable. It could be as simple as speaking up in a meeting, taking a cold shower, or trying something new. These challenges train your mind to face discomfort head-on instead of running from it. The weak version of you is scared of failure, but the strong version embraces it. Failure isn't the opposite of success, it's a part of it. When you challenge yourself, you will stumble, but every stumble teaches you something new. The weak version of you avoids challenges because it fears failure. The strong version knows that failure is fuel. Pushing your limits daily forces you to discover what you're truly capable of. The weak version of you underestimates your potential, but the strong version reveals it. Every time you overcome a challenge, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than you thought. That's how confidence is built, not from avoiding challenges, but from conquering them. Don't wait for life to challenge you, create your challenges. Set goals that scare you and stretch your limits. The weak version of you will try to talk you out of it, whispering it's too hard or you're not ready. Ignore that voice and push forward. Consistency in challenging yourself builds resilience. The more you do it, the less intimidating challenges become. Over time, you'll start seeking out challenges because you'll know they're the key to growth. The weak version of you can't survive in a mindset that thrives on pushing boundaries. Challenging yourself isn't about proving anything to anyone else, it's about proving it to yourself. The weak version of you is content with mediocrity, but the strong version demands excellence. Make challenges a daily habit and watch how quickly the weak version fades away. Comparison is the thief of joy and the fuel for the weak version of yourself. When you compare your life to others, you create unnecessary pressure and self-doubt. The weak version of you thrives in that space because it uses comparison to justify inaction. To kill that weak version of yourself, you have to stop measuring your worth against someone else's achievements. Your journey is unique. No one else has walked your path, faced your struggles, or dreamed your dreams. When you compare yourself to others, you're ignoring the fact that their story is different from yours. The weak version of you wants to fit into someone else's mold, but the strong version embraces individuality. Social media is one of the biggest traps for comparison. The weak version of you scrolls endlessly, comparing your behind-the-scenes struggles to someone else's highlight reel. The strong version of you knows that what you see online is just a curated snapshot, not the full picture. Stop letting illusions dictate your self-worth. Focus on your progress, not your position relative to others. The weak version of you gets discouraged when it sees someone else ahead. The strong version understands that the only competition is the person you were yesterday. Celebrate your small victories and use them as stepping stones toward bigger ones. Remember, everyone's timing is different. The weak version of you gets impatient, wanting to rush the process because someone else seems further along. The strong version knows that success is not a race, it's a journey. Trust your timing and stay committed to your path. Use other people's success as inspiration, not a source of envy. The weak version of you resents others for their achievements, but the strong version looks for lessons. Study what they did, learn from their experiences, and apply those insights to your journey. When you stop comparing, you free yourself from unnecessary stress and self-doubt. The weak version of you loses its grip because it can no longer use comparison as an excuse to hold you back. Focus on your path and let your growth speak for itself. Fear is the gatekeeper to your potential. The weak version of you avoids it at all costs, choosing safety over growth. But the strong version of you knows that fear is not something to run from, it's something to confront. To kill that weak version of yourself, you must face your fears head on. Fear only has power when you let it. The weak version of you gives fear control, allowing it to take your choices and limit your actions. But fear is nothing more than a mental barrier. When you confront it, you realize it's not as big or as powerful as it seems. Start by identifying what you're afraid of. Is it failure, rejection, or the unknown? Write it down and acknowledge it. The weak version of you hides from fear, pretending it doesn't exist. The strong version of you brings it into the light where it can't hide anymore. Take small steps toward your fear every day. If you're afraid of public speaking, start by speaking in front of a small group. If you fear failure, take on a project where you might not succeed. Each step weakens fear's grip and strengthens your confidence. The weak version of you sees fear as a stop sign, but the strong version sees it as a green light. Fear is a signal that you're stepping into something important, something that can change you for the better. Embrace that feeling and let it guide you forward. Surround yourself with people who face their fears. Their courage will inspire you to do the same. The weak version of you feels alone in its fear, but the strong version understands that everyone faces fear. It's how you respond that makes the difference. Facing your fears doesn't mean you won't feel afraid. It means you choose to act despite the fear. The weak version of you waits for fear to disappear, but the strong version moves forward anyway. That's the mindset that kills fear, and the weak version of you along with it. Being unstoppable isn't about never failing. It's about refusing to quit. The weak version of you gives up at the first sign of resistance, but the strong version keeps pushing no matter what. To kill that weak version of yourself, you must commit to becoming unstoppable in everything you do. Start by building a mindset that refuses to settle. The weak version of you is satisfied with good enough, but the strong version asks, what's next? That hunger for more is what keeps you moving forward, even when things get tough. Eliminate excuses from your vocabulary. The weak version of you always has a reason for why something can't be done. The strong version finds solutions instead of problems. When you stop making excuses, you take full ownership of your life and your results. Push through setbacks like they're stepping stones. The weak version of you sees obstacles as reasons to stop, but the strong version sees them as opportunities to grow. Every challenge you overcome makes you stronger, more resilient, and more unstoppable. Surround yourself with unstoppable energy. The weak version of you gravitates toward people who accept mediocrity,